I hope you like Meeples, because tonight on Rolling with the Beard, we're reviewing Rolling Heights. Here we have the table set up for a 3-player game of Rolling Heights. Rolling Heights is this bizarre combination of sort of area control slash deck builder slash push your luck kind of game, but you'll never believe this. It comes with a ton of meeples, and guess what you do with these bad boys? You roll them into your own little tray here. It's totally crazy. And it works much better than you think it would. Now, if the worker happens to be breakdancing in there, he produces 1 cube of the matching color. Now, if he happens to be totally awesome and standing, he produces 2 of the matching color. Now, if he's a lazy bum and he's laying on his back, he produces nothing. I happen to get lucky here and had 2 browns standing, which is fantastic. So I get 4 total brown cubes, 1 gray. And then players can choose one of these building plans. There's level 1 and level 2 building plans. I'm going to choose this one here, and I pay any cost associated on the board. This one costs a cube, and then I put it out on the map somewhere. If I had already had some building plans on the board, I would have to build adjacent or pay extra cubes the further I go away from my adjacency. And if I have any building materials left over, I can place them on any of the building plans I currently have out on the board. This one happens to take 3 wood. I'm in luck. I've got a wood there, and a wood there, and I finished it. Now I get to cap it off with my player color, and then I reap the benefits on the bottom. This particular one gives me a victory point and a new meeple. This guy's an architect. He creates glass. So on my next turn, I'll be rolling 5 of these bad boys. I know the board doesn't look very exciting now, but shortly, it's going to look something more like this. I bet you're a little more excited now, aren't you? This is a game about halfway through, and by the end of the game, you have this beautiful, sprawling metropolis to take a gander at while you wait on other people's turns. Actually, that's the great thing about this game. There's very little downtime between turns because you can kind of pre-game, get your little men ready, so when it becomes your turn, you're ready to collect resources and start building things. So that was a very brief, quick overview of Rolling Heights by John D. Clare. This dude has become what I would consider the master of modern middleweight board games. He has so many great games out. Space Base, I had a love-hate relationship with that game at first, but I've grown to like it. Mystic Vale is quite fantastic game, and so is Ready Set Bet. It's almost like an event. Ready Set Bet is a hoot if you have the right crowd. Actually, even with the wrong crowd, it's still fun. But John D. Clare, this dude is just nothing but bangers recently, and this one is no exception. I adore absolutely everything about this game. Now let's get the big question out of the way. This whole rolling meeples thing. I know it sounds like a gimmick, and I'm pretty sure it is, but it works. It works well. It works really well. It works way better than you can ever imagine without actually playing it. It works well. It works. Trust me on that. It's awesome. There's so much to love about this game. It's easy to teach. There is very little to no downtime. There's no downtime at all in a 2-player game because you're able to prep for your turn by rolling your little men in there. Shoot, if you want, you can even go ahead and grab the cubes, the resources that you're going to produce, so that way you can start, planning on what you're going to do exactly when it does become your turn. And the push your luck mechanism is nice because you keep rolling all your meeples up to 10, and you keep rolling them until at least half of them are standing and you've plucked them out of your box. Now, once you've reached that point, you can decide to take the other, say 4 or 5 or however many were laying on their back, you can decide to roll them. Now, the problem is if none of them are standing or like breakdancing or whatever on their side, then you bust. And if they're all on their backs, you work them too hard and they go on strike, which thematically is pretty cool. But now you lose half of the, rounded down, half of the meeples that you've already pulled out of your box that you were planning on using. So it does sting quite a bit, especially in later rounds if you were to bust. So it does make pushing your luck, it makes the player think twice before they push their luck. So that push your luck mechanism kind of reminds me of Quacks of Quedlinburg. In my opinion, this Rolling Heights blows the doors off of Quacks of Quedlinburg. I know that's kind of a hot take and that's a hot game. It's good. I like Quacks, but this game trumps it in every way. Like the table presence alone blows it away. This game is definitely one of those games that when you're playing at a table, somebody walks in, they're like, whoa, what on earth is that? Because it looks, well, maybe not at first, but once you're about halfway through the game and you start getting these little skyscrapers and buildings built, it looks fantastic. And what is neat though is I thought it would be a little more fiddly, like knocking little buildings over and such, but it doesn't really seem to be a problem. It's just everything is spaced correctly, everything, the pieces locked together just enough to make them stable, but they're not like Legos, you don't have to like snap them together. But the components are fantastic. The meeples are great quality. And they have a lot of weight to them, so they make a nice, satisfying clack sound when you throw them in your little box. And they land on their feet way more than you would think they would. And speaking of meeples, some of the meeples give you really neat powers, such as upgrading some of your other meeples that you've rolled. So like if a guy's laying down flat, you can actually make him breakdance, or if he's breakdancing, you can have him standing. Some of them will just give you straight up points. Some of them will do all kinds of wild things depending on what tiles you have laid out on the board already. I think those ones are called the public figures or something like that. So the theme on those is a little loose, but it is really neat what some of the other color meeples can do. And I feel like the game toes the line and hits that sweet spot of it's simple, but the tiles, there's enough variety and depth on the tiles to make it very interesting, but not so much that it boggles down the game and players get stuck with AP. The game seems to run at a nice clip. 3 players is great, 2 players is even better, 4 players is still very fine, and I will play it with 4 players, no problem about that. I will say that with 4 players though, you start getting, the board is modular. So it does accommodate the different player counts, but you mix it up, and sometimes I've played some 4-player games where it was a little cutthroat fighting for some of those places, because some of the spots that you build on, if you have the right tile on there, you'll get a good amount of points. So you start seeing players really start inching towards those more desirable spaces. And there's also different scoring conditions that the game comes with a whole plethora of them, and you can mix them up and you choose 3 each time. And some of them are things like who has the tallest building on this particular island, or score a point for each column that you have a completed building in. So those add another layer to the onion of strategy that is this wonderful game. I almost feel like at this point I'm just gushing and need to just wrap up the video. Long story short, this game is amazing. It's staying in the Beard's collection. You need to go out and get it. Thanks again for watching an episode of Rolling with the Beard. And if you like what I'm doing, please support by clicking that subscribe button down below. It helps out a lot. And leave a comment below on what you think I should cover next. And again, just thank you so much for watching.